Hello everybody. So I'm out for a walk again, and I'm going to take it easy today because I'm honoring myself. I'm like working on learning how to open up to pushing hard when it comes to business and pushing forward through limiting beliefs, but I'm also looking at having a graceful, peaceful life. And so I want to share tonight that at 7:30 Eastern Time, I am going to be sharing a live masterclass that you can click on a link to join my email list, and you'll get an email about that. You're welcome to join us. It's free. I'm going to be sharing about how I create wealth from living my soul's purpose. And just a little bit about who I am if you are just joining this Facebook page. I know we had a couple join through the week. 3 years ago, I got this gnawing feeling inside of myself that led me to basically stop everything in my life and start listening to myself for the first time ever, at least the first time that I can remember. And once I started doing that, I started hearing messages of what I consider to be my soul. This was shortly after my daughter Anya was born. And like I said, I stopped almost everything in my life. Like I left my job when I had a newborn. Shortly after that, I left my marriage. I didn't have a job at the time when I left my marriage. When I left my job, everybody in my life told me I was crazy. When I left my marriage, people are like, "What do you mean? You don't have a job? You have 3 kids? You like, what are you doing? You've got to be nuts." And I knew it was something deep inside. Like, I knew I had something, right? I knew I had this truth, right? And that if I continued to block my truth, if I continued to not speak my truth, that it was actually killing me. Here's how it was killing me. I was so incredibly stressed out, mentally, physically, fatigued, and so wound tight in my head that it was literally creating an internal chaos. It was like a combustion. And so what would happen was my inner turmoil, anger, all based from fear, all based from not knowing how to speak my inner truth, would spill out into my everyday life. And my kids would get the brunt of it. And it's ironic, and I'm sharing this right now, and I'm in my hometown. I had to make some tough decisions about where I was going to stay so that I could be centered and focused on the mission. And that is sharing how to activate and bring forward inner truth. And I work with moms, because here's the correlation and why I work with moms is that when moms become the leader of their own life mission to change the world, they open up that doorway for their children to fully participate in that lifestyle as well. So it's extraordinarily important to have that correlation. And if I didn't make hard choices back then, meaning if I didn't leave my teaching job, if I didn't start to listen to my inner truth and leave my marriage, I would not be getting this message out to you today, because I would still be where I was. And so it's never okay to just continue to be where you are. And here's why I share this with you, is because we were born to create. We were born to evolve. We were born with circumstances. We all created the circumstances around us, whether we like to admit it or not. And there is always a solution to move forward past the circumstances that are feeling hard. So today was a hard day for me. Personally, I'll be totally upfront with you. I don't know who's joining, but hello. Be totally upfront with you and just share, like, things are kind of shitty right now. And although the summit is going amazing, I have some amazing things lined up for the future. I had my kids for one night this week. It's tough to be away from them. But part of my job is to be away from them from time to time and know that they're safe, right? Get rid of the fear around my children being safe. That's a big fear for parents. It can also trap parents into not taking action towards their dreams. Believe it or not, children are one of the huge factors that stop parents, especially moms, from pursuing their dreams. And here's where that is completely fake. It's so crazy that moms don't want to step forward because they feel like they'll be taking away from their children's childhood. But in all reality, when you go towards your dream, when you live the truth that you were born to live, and I'm not talking about like if you love health, being a nurse, or even, like a nutritionist. I'm not talking about contributing in any way, shape, or form to what's happening now in society. Like, I'm not talking about being a public school teacher. I'm talking like you were born with a gift, your inner truth. Your inner truth is to be an innovator, a creator. It's to work with people all around the world to create new systems, new ways of living, all having to do with supporting the growth, the evolution of the new earth. One of my favorite all-time books was A New Earth by Eckhart Tolle. And he talks about how our thoughts control our behaviors and how we listen to this. Some of us are wound so tight with our thoughts, and I'm going to just share with you what happened to me today. Being unsettled, and to let you know that this is very much a time right now where it is the energies are unsettled, and so the only thing to do is to be still and quiet, and to really not even take action until all fear is cleaned off the plate. So fear, when you come from parenting, because I'll bring it back to how my day started. Like, I slept with two of the three of my children. One of them was on top of me for most of the night. We were up at the crack of dawn, which I do anyway. I'm up really early. Then I was, full-time parenting. We have summer reading and summer projects that the kids have to do for their school, and so we tried to get those done. And I had a 2.5-year-old, and I'm doing all these things, but I'm not even just doing them. I'm being them. See, there's a difference between showing up for your kids and doing, because doing is like, okay, it's like an obligation. But being fully present requires a whole different set of skills. And being fully present and being the experience is taking an active leadership role from a place of love. One of my other all-time favorite teachers is Dr. Shefali, and she teaches living in our essence when we're present with our children, and what that feels like and what it looks like, and that it's void of fear, void of the hierarchy of, I'm the mom, you're supposed to do what I say. Or the fear of, if my children don't do this, then they are going to. So when we take this leadership role as parents to, guide our children to not only, to not only enjoy life, right? Okay, so I'm a mom who lives an extraordinary life. And to some people looking at me, they might not think it's extraordinary, but it's actually my standard of extraordinary. I am very happy. I'm super grounded and centered, and I know exactly where I'm going and exactly what I'm going to do. I have epic goals and epic dreams, and I've surrounded myself with people who also have those dreams and goals. And so from a standpoint of how do you do it, right? I have people ask me all the time, like, how do you do what you do? You're a single mom. Well, I do what I do because I follow what other people do and I ask questions. Right now, in my relationship with David, we're at a sticky point. It's tough. We're both, raising our children. I'm running a business. He's recovering from surgery, so we're at a sticking point. And when I don't know what to do, I go to my coach, right? Or if I don't know what to do in my business, I go to leadership. And so the point of me sharing this is that today I was stuck. Today I was tired. Today I didn't really know what direction to go in. And so here's what I did. I tapped into a couple messages that I heard from teammates of mine, and I got bits and pieces that popped for me. And here's one of the things that popped, is that we all have this opportunity to live an extraordinary life, but sometimes pushing goes against all theory, it goes against all natural expansion. And as I was spinning today, like trying to get so much done while still being a parent, it was evident that wasn't happening. So I had to surrender in the moment. And in that moment, my brain shuts off. It's like, shuts off. I live from my heart. And I let that guide me completely. And this is what, this is what Dr. Shefali calls is like living in essence, live in the essence, showing up in essence. And at that point, the effective leadership comes into play. And so it all gets done. And not only that, is that my kids and I have evolved to a place where we pick up off of each other's energy. And so when mom's on top, right? When mom steps up, when mom is present, and by the way, you can't get your kids to do anything that you haven't done. I just want to be clear with this. It's like we have these high expectations for our kids. And if we want our kids, for instance, if we're paying, like my kids go to Montessori school and it's a lot of money to pay for that. But I put no pressure on the teachers. Like really, it's my leadership at home that makes the difference. It's how I lead my life that is going to show my children how to lead their life. And a lot of our society has broken down on this, meaning we're putting pressure on teachers, we're putting pressure on ourselves, when really we need to take the pressure off. We need to take the pressure off, and we need to start to be more still. So part of the stillness that came for me was clearing my plate of all unnecessary things. And having people actually say to me, "You're crazy." And I thought that was the best compliment in the world, because going against the grain, right? Learning how to figure it out without money. Learning how to detach from the need of even having a man in my life, and learning to effectively do things on my own with fullness. So it's funny, I am part of this marketing mastery group for my business, and these women are absolutely killing it in their lives. And we had a special guest. She was an innovator, and she was on Shark Tank. And she shared her story about being a single mom and how every night she used to take a bath in her bathtub in her trailer home. And she used to dream about being in a home with a gorgeous bathtub. And I remember when I completely let go of the image of having a clean home. And I know people are going to be like, oh my God. But honestly, it's an image. And here's what I mean by that. Because if you don't have an inner shine or an inner clean, if you are not shiny on the inside, the outer is just an image. It's just an illusion. It's fake. I realized that. And, I blew that all up in my own life. But the one thing that I used to do every night was I used to take a bath. And I used to say to myself, I used to picture myself every single night. I am going to have a gorgeous home, a soaker tub, and I want it on the ocean. And within 6 months, maybe even less, I manifested that, meaning I brought that vision to life. And though I did not own it, the money arrived to be able to pay in full for an amazing experience in a home that allowed my children and I always say this to people, like, why did you have to have such a big home? It actually allowed my children and I and our big spirits to come alive. And so the soaker tub that I always dreamed of, became that reality. The other things that have happened is that during that time that I would dream, I felt this fire inside of myself. And although at night I would get lonely and I would, I was also learning how to uncouple, meaning I was learning how to let go of the notion that, I cohabitated with someone and, I was healing from relationships and being totally exhausted. But I also was like, I know my purpose is bigger. And here's the thing, I know that this feeling, this situation is temporary. And so every single morning I was able to go to bed peacefully and wake up peacefully as well. And what that meant was that I had gotten to a place of full acceptance of where I was. This is really important because if you are not at a place of full acceptance of wherever you are, your circumstances, the people that you're with, your relationship, it means that there's still fear. It means that you can't take action from a place of non-acceptance. And full acceptance is the only way that you can actually project yourself into the future. And so full acceptance of that. And as my world was falling apart around me and people were getting more and more scary, so during that time, I actually asked for help to invest in coaching because it was, it was now or never. This feeling was being, was wanting to come forward. And so that brought up another whole set of judgments. And what I realized was that these situations, these circumstances of acceptance, of being in non-judgment, meaning stepping out of the way of judgment when other people shared their distaste for me, worried about me, and wondered about what I was doing, actually grew me to be extraordinarily resilient. Here's the other thing. It grew my children to be resilient too. And this is what's super important because I actually raised daughters. And, it's been said by many of in the consciousness movement and the mindfulness movement that the Western woman will change the world. And so here it is the opportunity is that we seek what is inside of us rather than what is outside of us. And the actual seeking of what is inside of us that has been with us since birth, it actually is the purpose we were born, is the gift. And the circumstances that we have in front of us are the lessons. And so what needs to happen is there needs to be a foundation built. I call it, for my clients, I'm like, you're building your new house. And it has to start with a strong sense of who you are. And they ask me, well, like, who am I? I'm like, you get to discover that throughout the process of it. One of the things, the biggest thing that my clients come to me to say is like, I know I have something different. I know that I am different. And it's tough to be different. We know it our entire life that we're different. Because we often don't go with the crowd, or we feel like we either have to go with the crowd. We are often incredible in our own way, meaning we stand out, we shine in a certain way. But here's the thing, this is what I realized this morning about myself. And I was an athlete, because athletics were easy for me, and it was easy to put the time and the effort in. I was sharing this with my daughter. She was having difficulty with writing. And I said to her, it's in the moments where you are scared and you're judging yourself and you don't want to step forward that you actually have to step forward. So learning to write, for instance, or she was writing a letter to her teacher. And I shared with her how for 1 year straight, I've been writing every single morning to an email list of people who read my work, and how sometimes in the beginning it was really hard and it took me 2 hours to write one simple email, but I kept doing it. And so now, like clockwork, I wake up every morning and I write the email. And sometimes I'm so in it, I can write 3 emails before they get up. And we all have these things that come easy to us. If we always stay in our comfort zone, we never get to experience growth. So the ironic thing right now is that I was always an athlete. I was fast, I was fit, strong, and now I'm having to rebuild my body, and I have to walk. And that was extraordinarily hard for me, and I actually denied it for a long time. And I would push, and I would compare myself to other people who were doing more than me, or better than me, or were faster than me. I would compare myself to my old self instead of acknowledging who I am. And that was really toxic. And so, I share this with you because I'm always in the process, never out of the process. And being in the process of it keeps me always wanting, or always achieving, or always stepping forward towards living an even more extraordinary life. And then, the honest truth is it was so mind-blowing to me what I started to accomplish in my life that, before I would go to bed every single night, and it was obnoxious for a lot of my Facebook friends, trying to just beg people to at least acknowledge that there was another way to live. But the truth is it hit me before most, because there was a leadership position involved, right? So when you're in a leadership, an empowerment, or if you want to call it a spiritual leadership role, you sign up for this position, right, at birth, for to be able to impact moms, for instance, to help them connect with their absolute sacred inner truth, to activate that inner truth, to trust to trust that actually doing things differently, even doing things differently than when you were raised, actually puts you in a position in your life to live what I consider to be the dream come true life. And so I want to just wrap up by saying, like, I love this. Like, I love talking. I'm in a swarm of barn swallows right now, birds, in my neighborhood, my parents' neighborhood. As I just want to wrap this up by saying the very last thing is love and money are the biggest factors that we have yet to tap fully into. And I tackle these. I don't even say I tackle these, but I have unlocked the magic around these two anomalies, right? How to access money from our soul, our soul's divine purpose is attached to a legacy. That legacy is money. And the word money, even to some people, is taboo, right? So when I moved into this gorgeous home, I lost a lot